October 20th, 2000. I remember it like it was yesterday. I woke up in an unfamiliar room, and that's when Zerks came out of those doors and told me, "Today is a special day. The master and the others are waiting." He gave me a change of clothes and a coat with a unique symbol. I was stunned by the buildings and the cities around us as we left the room. It was so familiar, but so strange. As we got to the elevator, I was full of questions. What are these marks on my face? Where are we? And what's going on? All your questions will be answered once we're there. That's all he said. We got to the top floor, and as the doors opened, the others were already seated, including the leader, Zelkary, who sat across the room. "This is the one who shall sit in our fourth seat. His name is Xayin." That was the name they gave me. As I sat in my new seat, Zelkary said, "You have so many questions to share. Allow us to answer them." I learned so much about the situation and our roles in the conflict. At that moment, I got acquainted with the other members of Shadow Union, and after the meeting, Zelkary gave me a tour of Shadow Union. Ironically, the headquarters looked so black and white, while the meeting room looked like a five-star hotel. In the following days, I would be assigned to venture out into the ruined remains of the world, either by myself or with others, slaying the Asai Ori, collecting the shards of light, and finally returning to base. At that time, I would learn a lot from the other members, learn about them, and become friends with some of them. One of the members, Zach, would take me to his favorite spot in Sanctum. A year almost passed, and two new members would take their seat amongst us, Zumi and Nex. I would take them with me on my mission for a few months and help them improve over time. We became friends, and eventually I would take them to Zach's favorite spot too. One of the times I got assigned to a solo mission, the remaining humans heard of our endeavors and asked us for shelter. Zalkari was ecstatic to hear of it after I brought them to Sanctum. He usually smiled so weakly, but his smile felt genuine, like he was full of hope again. We continued collecting the shards of light and bringing more humans to Sanctum. In 2 months, I was out of commission due to the severity of my injuries from my last mission. Fortunately, I had permission from Zelkary to wander around Shadow Union and Sanctum with one of the members. Due to the rampant rise of Grand Shards, I went on more solo missions. However, Zerx permitted me to bring Junia with me for some field data. 2 years passed, and we all knew that changes were coming. Zelkary called us to gather at the roof of Shadow Union. As we all gathered, Zelkary began his speech about how far we've progressed and how we must continue. After all that, Zack invited me, Zumi, and Nex over to the usual spot. He suggested we celebrate with fireworks here at this spot when we can in the summer. As summer came, Zumi wanted us to head to the place before Zack and Nex. As we got there, she suddenly drew her weapon towards me and begged me to fight or die. We fought until one of us stood. Before she died, we saw the fireworks together. She transferred her memories to me just from a kiss. I eventually learned that Zumi and I were different types of lookers. Due to the rush of memories, I passed out, and in my dream, I saw how close I was to the shard of light. I woke up in my room, and I decided to prepare and venture out to the ruined world with Junia. Halfway through the city, I saw Zack. We exchanged words. He wanted to come with me, but he couldn't tell me why, and he told me what Shadow Union was really up to. Before the others could hunt me down, Zack let me get one hit in to make it look convincing. I'd spent many months in the ruined world, searching for answers, and surviving from the Asai Ori, lookers, and death. Eventually, my search took me to Sector J, where it all started. The last time I was here, nearly all the members of Shadow Union hardly survived. For whatever reason, the shard of light guided me to this untouched house. Upon entering the home, more memories flooded my mind, memories of my previous life. I went to the basement and punched in the code. I found a secret base, and that's when I saw some friends and family from a previous life, and myself in a pod. The pod opened, and those memories were transferred to my other self with one touch. We ultimately decided to take the fight to Shadow Union and opened the portal to Sanctum. To my horror, the humans who once lived here had become lookers. Upon entering Shadow Union, we fought through the top through every looker, member, and friend. We finally reached the top of Shadow Union, and Zelkri waited for us. He showed us how complete the Mirror of Light was, and gave his backstory. He uncovered his hood, revealing that it was another version of myself the darkness had chosen to embody. After our grueling battle, we killed Zelkri, with the Mirror of Light nearly complete. I made the most difficult decision and killed those dear to me. That way, when they wake up, they won't remember these nightmarish years. Mirror of Light, grant my heart's deepest desire. My eyes opened, and my wish was granted. My wish was to return to the world before it fell. My other self had fallen into the spot where I was waiting. A day would pass, and still he was unconscious. Another day passed, and an army had arrived to capture him. Their guns were pointed towards me. Dante, it's my turn to protect you. After slaying them, I shot out an energy blast to get the attention of my former family and friends. Instead of waiting for them, I went to pay a visit to those responsible for the hellish future, my creators. The research facility was on a lone island where it all happened. I made my greetings by destroying everything, and when I met the puppet master behind it, I drove my blade into his chest. Vi Victus, woe to the conquered. After killing him, all evidence of the horrid past was long gone, but not forgotten. Upon finishing my search for the benefactors of that hellish future, I finally rested at a quiet place, with a view of the ocean and the sun rising and setting. 5 years passed, and in that time, my body had not cracked as it did years ago. Yet, it still felt the same, and I still lived. And in that time, I had grieved long enough, and ultimately I chose to wander the world once more, to find my purpose, and see both the good and bad of this world and humanity.